Hey guys, how's it going? It's Douglas here at Drumboy Productions, bringing you another Screaming Ghostface mask review. So guys, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at all of the new Dead by Daylight Ghostface style character masks that were released by Funworld. Unfortunately, we're only going to be taking a look at the masks for these characters. I was not able to acquire the full costumes for any of these, or at least they haven't arrived yet. To be honest, I don't remember if I ordered them or not. Pretty sure I didn't order the Scorched Ghostface, but nonetheless, let's get into this review. So we're going to start things off with the least Ghostface character out of the entire lot. Here we have the Dead by Daylight Viper Face. So, yet again, obviously by the design you can tell that that is not Ghostface, but this is an original Funworld design. Which brings me to an interesting tidbit of information. Did you guys know that this mask technically was not originally called the Viper, or the Viper Face? Technically, this sculpt, when originally released by Funworld, was known as Fang. And the mask that many fans have been calling Fang for so many years, you know, one of the most common Easter Unlimited masks, looks like it has vampire fangs top and bottom row, looks like it would be the one called Fang. That mask was actually originally named Viper, and this mask was originally named Fang. So kind of interesting that those names got swapped, mostly by fans, I believe, and just at this point, Funworld has now called this guy the Viper Face. So, pretty damn interesting, pretty cool. He kind of has two names, but I guess technically, if anything, this version of the character would be the Viper Face character. As far as the tag's concerned, they're pretty much all the same. They just have different character names. So like, Viper Face, Devil Face, Scorched Face. Yeah, it is Scorched Face, not Scorched Ghostface. As far as the construction on the shroud on this mask, it's actually pretty cool. I think it's a very interesting looking template that they really have not used before. And I also kind of like this. Down here, you see this little stitched together part under the chin. You can actually kind of pull that up over his mouth a little bit. Like, it's not like a bandana or a full face covering, but it kind of covers up the chin a little bit, and that's actually how this mask arrived to me. And due to that, he actually has a couple of little red stains on the chin. That brings me to another point about this mask. If you are a Screaming Ghostface collector, or even a collector of any kind of vinyl masks in general, I would recommend storing this mask away from your other vinyl masks, or at least not touching them for sure. Not touching any part of the vinyl, because it seems that the red pigment that was used in the fabric will absolutely transfer to the vinyl and stain it pink or red. So, unless you want that kind of effect, do not store them together. All in all, a pretty cool mask, and oddly enough, this one seems to have the same vanilla scent as the 25th anniversary masks. I'm not sure if anyone else has noticed that, or if their copies have it, but at least this one definitely seems to smell the same. Next up, we'll take a look at the fan favorite, and also fan-hated, Devil Face mask. Obviously, these guys have already kind of made their ways into Spirit Halloweens and earlier shipments. Now, as far as the full review on the mask, I'm actually quite fond of the mask. I really like the shroud, even though I just noticed that this one kind of has a hole up here in the top. And it looks like it's a little bit on this side too. It looks like perhaps the plastic edge of the mask is kind of pressed into the pleather and caused little rips here and here. Perhaps that was the way that it was stacked. It could have been caused by the devil horns of another mask if they were all stacked. I don't really know why it is that way, but that's another little bit of damage I've noticed on this copy at least. But overall, I really do like the construction of the hood. I think it's a cool looking hood, at least for display. From anyone that I've heard that's actually worn one of these, they've said that they're very uncomfortable. They get super hot in a matter of minutes, and my hand is already actually getting pretty sweaty just from having it inside of this mask. So, there you go. That's pretty much the Devil Face. As far as differences from the previous ones, the previous Devil Faces were not like a pastel red, but they were like almost a slight pinkish red, just slightly. These are a very dark, deep blood red, very vibrant, and also a little bit glossier as well. The mouth paint is obviously glossy on these, whereas on the others I believe it was matte finish. But I do think that this looks good. They both look good. The only thing is the paint application issues on these, which I do believe is mostly caused by the shroud. Next up we have what is, at least in my opinion, the most anticipated out of all of these, and is either going to be the most disappointing as far as sales, or it's going to become an oddball. I don't really know. I think that they're pretty fucking cool, but I could see a lot of people just really not caring about these. Here we have the Dead by Daylight Scorched Face, also known as the Scorched Ghostface, also known as the Blighted One. The melted face Ghostface mask is a concept that I've wanted to see tackled in some kind of way officially ever since I watched Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. Obviously, if you guys have seen that film, you know the scene I'm talking about, but here we have him, the Scorched Face. Unfortunately, it seems like they did have some problems with the molds on these, and I've seen some where the bottom half of the mouth here was like indented in, almost like that, which it should not have been. And I've seen some that just, you know, are kind of flat, like this one. Overall, it's a really, really cool mask, but at the moment, it's pretty flat. If I bend him back like that, he looks a little bit cooler, but naturally, it's literally pretty much like a flat, plain mask. You guys can see that from that angle for sure. As far as the shroud on him, I actually really like the shroud. It's made out of like a thinner sheer material, and it has like a reflective ribbon almost like sewn throughout the material, but it looks a lot like the hood of the Scorched Ghostface in the game, and for a cheap Halloween mask version, it's pretty damn cool. Now, unfortunately, a lot of this fabric down here that has been stained with several different types of stain, looks like orange and also obviously the yellow drips, it's become very stiff and it's really hard to kind of get it to go back into place to lay down naturally, but overall it's a very large hood, seems very roomy. They have done like slices and cuts all along the edges here, and unfortunately most of those do look kind of uniform because they're like squarish for the most part, but it still looks pretty good. I would say for $15, absolutely worth picking up. For $25, if you're into it as a collector, absolutely grab it. I don't think that these will be around very long, but they are pretty fucking sweet masks. I really, really like them and can't wait to get mine hung up. Alright guys, I'm going to throw one last mask in there for you to take a look at today, and that's going to be the Patriotic Ghostface. This is not a Dead by Daylight product at all, and in fact I don't really know why this exists beyond the fact that I guess Funworld's trying to show their patriotism. Which there's nothing wrong with loving the good old US of A. I just think that painting masks with the American flag doesn't look the coolest, because usually whenever I think about masks that are painted with the American flag, it's like really cheap, kind of cringy masks that usually have that finish. On a Ghostface, obviously it's cool, it's just kind of questionable, like why does this exist beyond just showing patriotism? I don't know if the profits for the sales of these is going towards any kind of charity or anything like that, but nonetheless it's kind of a cool mask, and it's kind of weird that it exists in general, but it is a hard plastic mask, like the devil face. May even be the same mold, but obviously doesn't have the big holes in the forehead for the horns. And yeah, it's been fully painted, looks like stencil painted with the American flag. For the most part, everything looks pretty clean, the stars look good. A little bit of problems with the lines on the blue, especially going up and down in between the eyes and stuff like that, which I'm quite surprised with how even and symmetrical it does look for what it was and for how it was finished. And I just noticed a big fuck off black stain that was for sure some of like the mouth paint that made it on the very bottom of the chin, so that's a little unfortunate, but it's not that big of a deal. I don't think that these will make it for several years either. I don't think that these are going to sell very well, but if they do, hopefully they do well for Funworld. And the only difference on these from what was originally shown is the original product samples that were sent out and what was advertised is that these would have full-on vinyl deluxe shrouds, pretty much the exact same as the devil face, but without the blood drop on the back. Maybe it would have had an American flag printed on it or something, I don't know. But nonetheless, they decided not to go with those shrouds, mainly because I'm sure that they were causing problems with the paint, much like they are with devil face. And if they were messing those up, I don't even want to know how bad it would mess up shipments of these. This would be really, really rough. And at least with the devil face, you can touch up the mouth. With these, trying to repaint this and match the color, and it would just be a nightmare. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you all for joining in and watching. The next video that we'll be taking a look at is the 25th anniversary costume. That's going to be a more in-depth review and look at that, so I want to give it its own video. We'll be looking at the 25th anniversary mask as well. But that's pretty much going to do it for the Dead by Daylight version masks, at least. I will not be wearing these, but I will get them stuffed up, and I'll show you guys what they look like if they were worn. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all, and see you next time.